Everyone, welcome back to JUCO Jam. This is season 4, episode 8. With me, as always, the JUCO advocate himself, Brandon Goebel. Brandon, great to see you today.
You too, buddy.
All right, let's jump right into the rewind. Last week, we had two great games on Wednesday. Northwest Florida, big road win, 96-89 over Gulf Coast. This is unbelievable. The Raiders, DeMayo's Raiders, 14 out of 20 from three, 70%. DJ Shine had 25 points on 5 out of 6. Jonas Nichols, 21, 5 out of 7. And DeMarion Van Kelly chipped in 23 on 4 out of 6 threes. He shoots 67%, brings down the team average. Unbelievable. Gulf Coast, Devontae Cobbs with 24, Trent Lincoln with 21. They hit only 8 out of 24 threes. So you have a 18-point differential there on three-point shots. Just unbelievable shooting by the Raiders.
Yeah, one of those wild nights where, it didn't matter who you were trying to guard. Like, hey, let's get out on the hot hand. Good luck.
When they're all hot.
Yeah, they're all hot. They're just sharing the sugar.
They were definitely sharing the sugar, and I don't think Coach Lane Blue was very happy about maybe about some of the defensive coverages and things like that. At the end of the day, though, team shoots 70%. You just tip your hat, you move on. You got two more shots at him in the panhandle with the way things work out there.
Well, and it's so interesting too in the way that game played out, and we'll talk about another Gulf Coast game that happened later in the week and just the difference there. And I can only imagine what that practice looked like afterwards, and I think it was reflected in what happened in the next game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Coach Lane Blue just kindly encouraged the following of a scouting report. Responsibilities, things of that nature. All right. Jayhawk Conference action. Butler had a big win on Wednesday night. Grizzlies are soaring right now. 110-104 win over Coffeyville. 56 fouls in this game, Brandon. 82 free throws. In a game where they scored 110 points, Nitschie's Grizzlies, only 11 turnovers. Butler had 9 more threes than Coffeyville, 15 versus 6. I thought Coffeyville played better than I would have expected for that style of play. That style of play probably doesn't best fit Coffeyville's strengths. But this was a big win for Butler.
I mean, the score looks like a G League game. 56 fouls is bananas. I don't know if there were some phone calls around the league after that one or not, but
this is why I want the additional. It's my proposal. You reach a certain number, the 13th foul, the 15th foul, 3 free throws.
Yeah, I say they're out here trying to help you make your case.
Or you get the option to play one possession with the purple 8-point basketball, like the old MTV jams. Like, you get the choice. Do you want 3 free throws, or do you want one possession with the 8 ball?
Yeah.
I think it's a fun idea. We could really spark things up in JUCO landscape. All right, I'm going to transition. We're going to get serious because we're going to talk about the Whack Jack, and that's serious hoops.
It is
Thursday night. No one more serious than Coach Bucket with a big 65-59 win over Howard. Howard, 6 out of 25 from 3, 24 turnovers. One bright side for Howard, they actually out-rebounded Odessa 40-31 without the big man Terry Copeland. Amir Carson comes off the bench for the Wranglers, 29 points, 6 assists. You had Amir at JA 48. He has just been really good this season.
Yeah, and we talked earlier about Amir and how Odessa's going to go as he goes. But I think Howard there with Copeland out, I think some of the guard play got a little loose. They didn't have the big man to dump it down to and thought, shoot, well, now I'm kind of freed up to kind of do what I want. And I have a feeling there was probably a discussion to had after the game about, not playing selfish basketball just because we're missing our
it's kind of like a release valve, like for pressure, right? Things get kind of touch. You throw it into the big guy, he kind of creates some space for everybody else,
Right. Yep. So got to play really smart basketball. And look, if you're not playing smart basketball, Bucket's going to take advantage of that and beat you. And that's what happened.
When Bucket senses, right, a little uneasiness,
just got squeezed.
He just tightens up around you, and that he starts to extend that zone a little bit. When Buckets, I don't know if it's fear, but he sensed it and he ramped it up. He turned the dial all the way up to 10. But the Wranglers looked good Thursday night. Speaking of looking good, Midland, right? They lose to Nimi. Um, Coach Isaac basically comes out and says, no excuses, be better. And they go to New Mexico and they win 87-78. Darius Carr, 24 points, hit 12 out of 16 free throws. A guy we highlighted earlier in the season, Caden Reed, 7 assists, played all 40 minutes. Good basketball there. Great bounce back win for Midland. Keeps them on top of Whack Jack standings.
Yeah, yeah, tough, chippy, physical, whatever you want to call it, game. That was a great environment. I'm sure after the Nimi loss, practice was very calm, soothing.
Mhm.
Probably a lot of meditation involved.
Probably played some Jade.
Yeah, you would think, but whatever it was, it worked to get him hyped back up to realize, hey, we're trying to win a conference and national championship here, and they came out and got business done.
Whenever you have a point guard like Caden Reed, who's a smooth operator, kind of gets everybody in the right places, really shared the sugar, as you said earlier. All right, Saturday, we had another big one in the Panhandle. Road wins, tough to come by, but Gulf Coast did it 54-51. Trent Lincoln, the point guard for Gulf Coast, 14 points, 6 out of 7, also had 6 assists. Here's a guy that nationally we don't talk about enough, Devin Bates. Here's his stat line, Brandon. Checks a lot of boxes for me. 19 points, 8 boards, six steals, 4 assists. Nice
That's a lot.
player.
That's stuff in the stat sheet there.
Yeah. All right. Quick little recap here. So we've gone one round of three in the Panhandle. Northwest leads at 3-1. Chipola in fifth at 1-3. We got everybody else at 2-2. I think it's going to be a slobber knocker all the way to the end. I think 8-4 definitely wins it. I think 7-5 might win it. What say you, Brandon?
What I say is I don't want Donnie Tyndall trying to chase me down from last place right now. That's not where he's trying to sit. So
They
he's
could. They're. I think they're. I don't know if it's round two. It could be round three, but I think there's going to be a round where Chipola sweeps.
yeah.
I think they're going to do a 4-0 round at some point. I don't know. We'll see. You can, send your hate mail directly to me. Brandon didn't say it, but to your point, Brandon, I wouldn't vote against Chipola. All right, let's transition, if we shall, to the rundown. Tremendous slate of action. I am going to give you three games that are happening Wednesday. Tallahassee at Northwest Florida, Chipola at Pensacola, and then Seward at Coffeeville. What interests you the most out of those games?
There's two games that I've got circled for the week that I think are games of the week. We'll get to the other one later, but I think this is one of them. Tallahassee Northwest. Obviously for standing purposes and everything, every game is massively important, but I think this is a huge opportunity for Tallahassee to go on the road and make a real statement.
And Coach Hendren, we've talked about him, best dressed coach in the league. Um, it's a good team. I was wrong on them. I should have had them ranked earlier in the season. I was wrong. Definitely legitimate top 10, top 12 team, as probably all the teams in the Panhandle are. All right, Thursday, two games for you. South Plains at Howard, CSI, Utah Eastern. Anything exciting there for Mr. Global that you're going to tune in for? Super excited about.
Howard, as it turns out, I don't know exactly when this will all happen, but it sounds like Mr. Copeland will be making a return sooner than expected.
Yeah, second opinion.
Second opinions are important. So I don't know if it will be by this game or not, but Howard is in the mode of like, hey, we don't have our star, so everybody else has got to step up. Obviously, this last game there, they kind of struggled with uh, making some poor choices. So obviously against South Plains, you can't do that. That's going to be a big one.
But you're slightly reinventing yourself, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you put in the offense, you do all the things, the spacing. It's all built around having that big guy inside.
yeah,
I'm sure like logistically, strategically, Coach Cooper is moving around his X's and his O's, probably making some tweaks, if you will. But excited to see how Howard bounces back.
yeah. And then CSI at Utah State Eastern. I mean, Bill Evans has done a great job with that squad this year. That's just a tough place to play. This is kind of one of those games where CSI, like if you were to put some points on it, it would, CSI is going to be favored. But what do we call them? Trap games. Like, look out, Bill
Yeah.
Evans is going to have them ready.
Yeah. All right. Saturday. What a great slate of action we got. We got John A. Logan Vincennes, Pensacola, Tallahassee, Gulf Coast Chipola, CSI at Snow. Let's focus on the two non-panhandle games, if we shall, Brandon.
Hmm.
I'm going to have some commentary on Logan Vincennes here. Let you chime in. This is what I know. John A. Logan gets off to a little bit of a slow start, some losses early on. Coach's decision, some people not on the team that were on the team earlier. Logan hot, sizzling hot right now, playing great basketball. Christian Dorr, the transfer from Murray State, just playing awesome, really fun to watch. Coach Tyler Smith Peters loves coming into Vincennes, getting a Rally's burger. Rallies is shut down in Vincennes. Coach Smith Peters can't get his rally burger. He's going to come in angry.
Mm.
Vincennes, the last undefeated team in the country. Is this the game? Is this the game? What do you think?
John A. Logan going through that addition by subtraction feeling there, and yeah, I mean, you lose your rallies, like you just come in screaming. But yeah, obviously, a great coach and a team that's playing hot right now. This is kind of the test that, I think
Little
Vincennes,
litmus test for
yeah, a
both
little
teams.
litmus
For
test
both
here,
teams,
but
right?
these are the kinds of games that Todd Franklin wants at this time of the season, right? Like he's got to do a temperature check too
Yeah.
on where his guys are at. So that's going to be a real that's going to be
It-
an important game. Vincennes is every bit of a national championship contender this year, but this could be a real test for him.
Yeah, and this is a fun game because Logan has had a lot of close losses, right? They lost at home to Vincennes, lost in St. Louis to Moberly. They go to Hills, they lose at Hills, and they played Coffeyville. So like those aren't bad losses. They've been against great programs with great coaches, and they've been close. They haven't been able to get over the proverbial hill. Maybe it's this game. This is a team that could get hot heading into Hutch. All right, nightcap. CSI at Snow round two. CSI won at home earlier. What do you think about CSI Snow here round two? I know both coaches are going to be have their guys ready for this one.
Yeah, this is my other game of the week. Must see TV. Both teams playing great. CSI playing as well as they have in a long time. Just you've got the history there with CSI and Snow being a program that's been so good recently. Um, you know, Feltz has been fantastic for Snow. He's taken a huge step from last year to now, and Andrew May is going to have those guys ready to rock. I mean, that place is going to be popping. Just going
I
to be
can't
really,
wait.
really good basketball.
Yeah, it's good as it gets. All right, that that is a recap of this week's games. When we return, we're going to have Coach Cole Dewey from Indian Hills in the spotlight. Stay with us after this commercial break with Coach Cole Dewey.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We are super excited to have Indian Hills head coach Cole Dewey on the program. Coach Dewey, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Never been on before, but I watch it all the time, so I'm excited.
Man, we are super excited to have you on. Brandon and I both are tuned in to Go Hills TV and the Iowa Media Network, and really enjoy and appreciate everything Hills does to make junior college basketball better. One of the things that I really wanted to ask you about, you're a native of North Carolina. I'm in the Carolinas myself. You went to Campbell. How did a guy like you get into junior college? How'd you get that flavor for the best part of basketball?
That's a very good question. To be honest with you, I owe it mainly to one guy from the start. Brian Berg, he's an assistant at Ole Miss now under Chris Beard. And whenever I finished my GA at Campbell, so I played my 4 years and then went right to GA. So I was at Campbell for 6 years, and they had let go of Robbie Lang at the time, so everybody's kind of looking for jobs. And I didn't know a thing about junior college, nothing. Okay, in North Carolina, as you know, it's prep schools, prep school, prep school, prep school. It's not much JUCO. And the only thing I really knew was the players that we had been bringing in the last couple of years. We had some players, Eric Griffin from Garden City. He ended up making it to the league. Darren White, he averaged like 23 a game at Campbell. He only averaged like 3.4 at Midland on their championship team. And I was seeing like, God, these dudes can play. What's this JUCO stuff all about? And I owe it to Brian Berg. He helped me get a job, my first job in 2013 at Garden City under Brady Trinkle, and I packed my little Ford Fusion up with everything I own and drove 24 hours straight west, not having a clue what I was about to get myself into. And I have not been back east since. I've been stuck out in the Midwest ever since then.
And here you are in your second year at Indian Hills. You go to the national tournament at Hutchinson, Kansas. You get one of those top 8 seeds, which I think is it's both a blessing and a curse. It's hard, I think it's so hard early getting one of those top 8 seeds. It's a blessing, I think, later in the week, but that first game, it's a real challenge for teams. I think about statistically, Brandon can back me up on this. I think it's about 3 out of 8 of the top 8 seeds lose every year. But when you walked away from Hutch last year, kind of thinking about your team, did you have kind of like a mindset of how you wanted to rebuild this season Indian Hills roster? Like, were you thinking like, hey, we got to get bigger, we got to be better at rebounding? Like, what was your kind of mindset coming into this season?
It was all getting guys who could think. And I think that's what the game's coming to these days. 10, 15, 20, whatever years ago, I've been coaching for almost 20 years now. Like years ago, you could get these highly talented, highly ranked dudes and they could come in and win you games. And I think it's more now getting guys that know how to play basketball. I say that all the time. It's very simple, doesn't sound like much, but just we went all in on high character guys that could think, that have been a part of winning programs, and that are selfless. And those are kind of the main key points that we went in on. And you take away from the talent a little bit. Obviously, you got to be talented. You got to be able to do some things, but if we had to choose this highly ranked, talented dude that we didn't know as much about between a dude that, a good player that, won a state championship in high school, been coach, we know that he's going to come in and know, defensive principles. He's going to know to make the quick one more pass, just little stuff like that. We went all in on high IQ guys, and I think, it's paying off up to now, and we just got to continue to build on the smart players, the selfless players that we have, and try and peak at the right time here. I don't think we peaked at the right time last year, and we're trying to do that this year.
One of my favorite players in all of junior college basketball this year has been Taj Duke, your point guard. And I think that anytime a coach kind of has an extension of themselves on the floor, I think that is great for any program. But in the games that I have seen, Taj has this incredible ability, it feels like, to make big shots or make a big play. And for whatever reason, his name doesn't always get brought up in some of the top point guards in junior college basketball. And I think that's a disservice. Talk a little bit about Taj and kind of what he brings to the table for you guys.
The kid's a winner, and I call him a kid. He operates like a grown man. He has a professional basketball player's kind of mentality and day-to-day routine. He's in the training room right now. He's in the training room every single morning. He's been at the highest level before. He was at Pepperdine last year. He played in every game for Pepperdine. So if you play in every game as a freshman, that means something to me. I don't care how many minutes you play. Similar to our point guard last year, Trenton Walters. He played in every single game at Radford. He came here. He had a heck of a season. He's having a heck of a season at Niagara now. So similar to Taj, played in every game as a freshman. Didn't quite have the season he won as a freshman, numbers-wise, playing time-wise, minutes-wise. But he learned a lot his freshman year at a high level. Two of his best games, I believe, in the recruiting process, two of his best games were against Gonzaga in their league. So he's a player that steps up in big time moments, and you can't teach that. It's hard to recruit that. It's hard to find that. Sometimes it just happens, and you get lucky. But we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into recruiting Taj. he was a key piece to what we were trying to do because on film, we saw what we saw, but we do a lot of homework and everybody vouched for him. Everybody believed in him. And he's just a winner and every sense of the word. He shows up every day in practice. He's vocal. He goes hard. He's a leader. He just does, like you said, he's an extension of myself and my coaching staff on the floor. And that's a blessing to have at that point guard position and then it can help you win a lot of games. And he's done that. I mean, Salt Lake game at Snow this year, we're down by whatever with 4 or 5 minutes to go. I think Taj scored or assisted on the last 17 points of the game. Southeastern at their place, close game. I think Taj scored or assisted on like 15 of the last 20 points of the game. So when it's time to go make winning plays, he does so, and I trust him, trust the ball in his hands.
Coach, I remember watching the games on TV, and I'm like, why aren't they like send bodies at him? Like, were we just going to let him just take over? Like doubling, make somebody else beat you. But yeah, he's fun to watch.
Coach, apart from having a great name, which Tajah Duke might be, I don't know, that's up there for maybe the better thing in junior college, especially when you just let it roll off the tongue like that. But, there's a lot of kids that would show up and say, the beaches in Ottumwa aren't quite as good as the ones in Malibu. What was that like for him? Maybe for, somebody that says, hey, I'm playing at a high level program, I'm playing with, all the resources and whatever, like, what has his mentality been like coming into JUCO?
Like tropical Ottumwa, Brandon.
Yes. The palm trees aren't as tall in Ottumwa as they are in.
No question. No question. That was an intensive recruiting process. It lasted a while. It was more like a lot of these recruiting deals these days is like speed dating, especially at the Division I level. But even at this level, it's like speed dating sometimes, and I hate that. And a lot of people do. But again, you got to adjust to the times that we're in. His deal lasted a while. I mean, we talked for a good month and a half. Then he came on his visit, and by the time he came on his visit, we were already. I mean, we were locked in. We had a good relationship. I had built trust with him. He built trust with me. I was talking to his mom, his dad, his mentor up there in Canada, just on the regular. And so by the time he got down here for his visit, I felt really good about it. And some good schools were recruiting him as well. I think, I could go down the list of other high level junior colleges that made it a Hutch last year that were also recruiting him. And it just, to me, if you ask me, obviously got to ask Taj why he chose here. But if you ask me, I think it just came down to a genuine relationship. And he comes in here all the time, once or twice a week, just pops in, we chop it up. We have a really good coach player relationship. He had a really good game against Southeastern. And I could show you a text he sent me after the game because I sent him a text on the bus how well he played and how he controlled the game. He said, Coach, that was all about our one-on-one talk yesterday before practice. I'm like, no, it's not, man. It's because you're a good player. Like, you can say that, but it's because you're doing what you're supposed to do on a daily basis. But for him to say that meant a lot. Maybe something came from that talk. Maybe he got something out of it. And he's just a down-to-earth, normal dude, easy to talk to. He picked every coach that's recruiting him has loved recruiting him because he picks up the phone, he texts you right back. He's a well-raised young man by his mom and dad, and usually that turns to a really good basketball player when you got some skills to go with it.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about before I hand it over to Brandon to really do some hard-hitting investigative work, I always kind of evaluate coaches and programs by how they develop players from year one to year two. Mm-hmm. And there's not necessarily a lot of returners in the junior college landscape. I think more kids would benefit from 2 years in JUCO, and 2 years at the same JUCO if it's a good fit. But you bring back Vladimir Semerich and then AT, and if you would have told me last year that they would have been key components on this year's team, I would have like, really? Indian Hills probably isn't very good, but those two guys have really, really improved. Like, I think they've certainly increased their stock of what life looks like after Indian Hills because they came back, they put in the work, and you develop them as players. So talk a little bit about those two and just your thoughts on, maybe guys spending 2 years at JUCO and developing guys.
Like you said, it really helps. The more college basketball game reps you can get, the better. A lot of these guys go play their freshman, sophomore years, and they don't get very many game reps. They're on the floor in practice every day, but you can't emulate game reps. And, AT and Vlad, two of the guys you mentioned, they kind of got the short end of the stick a lot of games last year where they didn't, got some DNPs, got some low minute games. And like you said, they are key pieces to what we're doing this year. And When you got some continuity from last year, these guys come in the first couple of months and they know what's expected. So when someone, one of the new guys makes a mistake or does something that, we don't let slide in this program. Anytime you got a player speaking up first, that's huge. And I'm all about a player-led team. I'm all about giving these guys the freedom to be themselves. I don't have very many rules, similar to when I was coached by Robbie Lang at Campbell. He said, I got one rule, and that's do right. And if you got to think whether or not it's right or wrong, it's probably wrong if you got to think about it. And that's kind of what I've stuck to. And when I say that to these guys on day one in our first meeting, like I make sure that they know, like I want you to be yourself. I'm not trying to transform you into being something different. I want you to be yourself, but at the same time, I want you to grow the heck up because we all got to mature, and that's what college is for, is learning to mature. I'm not going to say a name, but we have a kid yesterday. We're trying to get schedules done for the spring, and he's got a $50 trash fine in the dorms. And I was like, hey man, you can pay your $50 fine. You know where the trash goes. He's like, oh, I don't have any money. I'm like, hold on, didn't you just get paid Pell Grant a couple weeks ago or months ago? He's like, yeah, but I ain't got no more money. I'm like, oh, that's pretty immature, man, if you're gonna spend a couple $1,000s in a few weeks. And just little stuff like that, man. Like everybody thinks we're here to win basketball games. That's the fun part. That's what everybody sees. But at the end of the day, we're here to create, help these young men turn into, grown adults that, when the time is right, and be good fathers and good husbands and just good people at the end of the day. And that's the joy that I get from this, is watching these guys grow up and to see the maturity. Vlad came here already. Vlad Simmerich, he came here basically a grown man already. He handles things on his own. AT, I wouldn't quite say that, but to his credit, he has transformed himself in the last 2 years that I've known him, and he's turned into not just a heck of a basketball player on the floor, but just everybody on campus loves him. He's got a big smile on his face. He's got some goofball, funny stuff to him, but he now has learned sometimes when to turn it off and when to turn it on, and just little stuff like that. Like AT and I, we've bumped heads over the last 2 years, and I'm on his tail for every little thing because he has such a high ceiling. He could be one of the best players on this team 10 years from now, making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars playing the game of basketball. And that's why I'm on him so hard. And once the season's over, I'm gonna go right up to him and give him a big hug and be like, now we can have the relationship that you want us to have. Like I don't have to coach you anymore, but and until that time comes, I'm going to continue to hold him to the highest standard possible, because that's what he needs. And he's shown that he learns from that, and he gets better from that, and he's getting there, man. His best basketball. Queens got him a good one. Grant got him a really good one over there at Queens because he signed early. His best basketball is ahead of him. He is such a talented young man.
Well, Coach, I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna hit you with the hard stuff. This has been a build up. Nick kind of throws some soft tops in there, and then I come with the 98 heater.
Softballs.
Yeah. So, all right. Imagine, if you will, you got to clear your mind for this. Imagine, if you will, big win, big win, and it's time to eat. It's time to take the boys out to eat. You say, well, we're not at home, so we can't get a Morgan's Corner, cheeseburger. There's no pork loin sandwiches around here the size of a shoebox, which got me drooling over here now thinking about that. But you say, you know what? I'm going to do something special. Taking the boys to Chili's. That parking lot. What are you having at Chili's?
Chili's was one of my favorite restaurants as a kid out near Raleigh, North Carolina. Since I've moved, I have not had Chili's quite as much, so I don't know the menu off the top of my head. I do think they have some type of, we got an Applebee's here. Every JUCO town has an Applebee's. So I would assume the menus are similar. I'm going some type of chicken and steak combo with mashed potatoes, and you can ask anybody around me, green beans. I judge a place on their green beans. If you got some good green beans, then you're like Warehouse Barbecue down the street, hands down, best green beans in Ottumwa. If you have good green beans, then I rock with you. And that would probably be my meal at Chili's.
All right, let's transition real quick. Warehouse Barbecue. Warehouse Barbecue.
God, I love Warehouse Barbecue.
You going burn ends? What's your full order there?
Oh, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Normally, I look at the daily special. I just look at the picture and say, "Give me that picture with green beans." And they already know. I don't even have to say the green beans. They know I'm getting the green beans, and sometimes double green beans.
Nick, this might be the first time somebody's mentioned a vegetable in this answer. So
I'll
I
take
love that. I
pictures
love that
from
balance. I love
I'll
that
take
balance.
pictures of my guys from time to time if we go to a nice restaurant. I'm like, hey, take a bite of a green bean so I can send it to your mother. And they take, they eat one green bean and that's the only green they put in their body for the rest of the day. But I'm at least showing their mom that I'm trying to get them to shove some broccoli or cabbage or green
we've been
beans.
doing this a few years now. That might be the first vegetable that anybody's brought up.
Yeah.
I think that's why Cole is built to last, right? I think there's going to be some longevity here. I mean, he's a guy you can get behind and invest in.
100%.
Question. I like
He's
it.
a program builder.
I
Coach,
like
we
it.
appreciate you coming on. It's great seeing you,
Yeah.
and looking forward to following you guys the rest of the season, hearing the smooth, sultry voice of Russ W. Oker, and hopefully we'll see you guys out at Hutch. So
Sounds good,
we
man.
come
Hopefully
back.
we can get there again.
When we come back, we're going to get into the grind.
For the last 87 years, the NJCAA has provided academic and athletic opportunities to thousands of student athletes. However, several rules make it more challenging for two-year college transfers. Recently, 16 national coaches associations, led by the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, sent a request for change to NCAA leadership to make the rules the same for all transfers. We commend their leadership and stand together in support of same game, same rules.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
Everyone, welcome back. We are going to the grind where we're going to feature one of our favorite JUCO players of the season. We're going to talk about Taja Duke, 6'3", 190 pounds from Toronto, spent last year at Pepperdine. He is the point guard of the Indian Hills Warriors, having a great season, 13 points, 84% free throw shooter, but also getting 4 boards, 4.5 assists. Brandon, what do you think about Taj?
We talked to Coach Dewey about him and his character and his work ethic and how impactful he's been with the team. And we've talked about this earlier in the season, that if you have a really good point guard, just how much that separates you from everybody else. And I think we're going to start seeing more of those in junior college. We're going to see more Taja Dukes. Just because of the way recruiting is now and with transfers and all this sort of stuff. Typically, one of the positions that we lost in junior college was the point guard, right? The guys that were really good, that were qualifiers, they were either coming in and leaving immediately, or they were not coming at all, because it was such a difficult position to really find. It's now been created, or the situation has created an opportunity where I think we're going to see more of those really good point guards. And Taj is as good as they come, leading a top program. He's got that Division I experience. He played in, I think, just about every game that Pepperdine had last year. You can't teach that experience. And then for him to take that in and rally the team around him and do what he's been doing is a massive part of why Indian Hills is as good as they are this year.
And we're going to continue on the Indian Hills theme here. We're going to transition to the show, talking about a current NCAA Division I player. We're going to talk about Quentin Perkins. He played at Indian Hills last year, transferred to Mercer. I think it's a great fit for him. 6'1", 180-pound guard, 9 points a game, 37% three-point shooter, 83% from the line. I think this is just a player going to the right level, getting a chance to play, and really probably making Coach Ritter really happy.
Yeah. Ritter's done a fantastic job there. Ritter is a really, really, really good coach. He's coached in junior college. He's coached multiple Division I programs and won there. And for him to identify a player like Quentin Perkins that can come in, wasn't like this massive star, wasn't, this huge guard or anything like that, but just like, hey, this is a guy that can come in and be impactful for us, can play a great role for us. He's played a lot of minutes down at Mercer there this year and has been doing all the right things.
That's great. All right. When we return, we're going to have our closing thoughts that we call the Sixth Man. Stay with us. After this commercial break, we'll have the Sixth Man.
Intensity fuels these champion student athletes to greatness. Zurich Insurance is proud to be the official provider of student athlete insurance for the National Junior College Athletic Association. Throughout the highs, we cheer along to their screams of victory. Throughout the lows, we support them through their tears of defeat. Zurich Insurance, helping student athletes play the sport they love.
Welcome back to JUCO Jam. We're going to talk about our sixth man, our closing thoughts. Brandon, you had some thoughts that you want to talk about with Division II basketball.
Yeah. Just want to give a shout out to Division II basketball. You know, it's one of those things that is loaded with talent, great coaches, great programs. You know, we don't get to talk about it as much as we wish we could. But you know, for all the coaches out there, the 4-year coaches, understand that everything has shifted, right? Everything with the transfers and the international players coming in, and all that means that high school players are having to find different routes to get to, you know, 4-year programs. And so just like in Division I junior college, that I feel like there's been a real influx of talent. You know, Division II has been a beneficiary of that as well. As I look around at those teams and I go, gosh, that kid can play. Man, that kid can play. Good grief, that kid can play. And I think I'm seeing more talent in Division II basketball than I've seen in a long time, just like we're seeing more talent across the board in Division I JUCO basketball, where parity is now all over the place. There's really good players all over the you know, different programs there. Division II is the same thing. And I think if coaches really do their job and dig in and do their homework, they can find some real diamonds in the rough in Division II basketball, maybe at a greater clip than really ever. And so, you know, watch your local Division II junior college basketball game. They would appreciate it, and they really
that. That's a great message. The talent has all been squeezed together. There is really no difference in talent overall between the top Division I and the top Division II. You know, I've had a chance to watch Danville and Parkland and Des Moines area a couple of times this year. And if you think about, those are teams that I've seen that would be in the top 25 in the Division I poll. I'm very confident in that assertion. So, I mean, I think these are
Carson up at North Dakota State, who I just got to see this last week, played at DMAC.
Right.
I mean, that was the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, just and again, somebody that wasn't heralded.
If you're a value guy trying to find those diamonds in the rough, right? If you don't think that maybe as a 4-year school you have the cachet to go get the best player at South Plains, well, maybe you could go and get the best player at Ellsworth, right? Or South Suburban, something like that, and get very good basketball players that can contribute and help you win games, which is really all that matters. Brandon, that's awesome insights. I appreciate you sharing that. Brandon, I appreciate you stopping by, spending some time, and I'm excited for another great week of junior college basketball. And we are 1 week closer to the national tournament in Hutchinson, Kansas, which I know we're both so excited about. So I wish you and everyone out there have a great basketball week.